Morning everyone! Today I'm going to put together this little tutorial to show you how I do my project bags. I can't take all the credit for them because my best friend actually she developed it. She's the sewing genius. She figured out all the measurements and what to do and this and that, and then she showed me what to do and I've just gone crazy with it. So between that and the other, hopefully I'll be able to explain to you what I do and some of the items needed, and we'll get to work. Alright, for materials, at the very most basic, you'll need 3 fat quarters. 1 fat quarter will be the main fabric of your bag. The second fat quarter will be your trim. And the third fat quarter will be the lining fabric. For the lining fabric, you can do whatever you want to. You can do another pattern, you can do a contrasting pattern, a complementary pattern. For the bag I'm actually going to demonstrate for you today, we're just going to use this lovely butter yellow. You can use muslin. Joann's has a really nice natural tinted muslin for about $2.99. Was it $1.99? Anyway, for really quite reasonably priced. So that's if you're going the fat quarter route. You'll need 3 fat quarters. If you are going the cut yardage route, you will need about, you'll have to do a half yard of your main fabric. Then you'll want a quarter yard, not a fat quarter yard, but a quarter yard of your contrasting fabric. And then you'll also need a half a yard of your lining fabric. So if you go with yardage and you do the 3 different colors for 3 different fabrics like I just showed you, you can get 2 matching project bags out of the yardage like that. And so today I'll be cutting off of yardage, but the same principles apply when dealing with fat quarters. This is what the fat quarters look like when you get them at Joann's or at Walmart. If you go to a fancy pants quilt shop, they tend to cut them themselves and do them, you know, in a little bit different fold. But they're labeled and they're not hard to find. So not that I'm making this one today, but here is my contrasting fabric, my main fabric, and this cute little thing will be my lining. Alright, so that is what you will need for fabrics. You have a couple of options when it comes to what you want to put into your fabric sandwich. I like to use batting, mostly because it comes to me free, because my mother is a quilter and she has a lot of batting left over. And so I just get some of her leftover battings, and it's usually plenty big, and I just cut it down to size. What she uses for her quilting is the Warm and Natural. It's a thinner bat. It's really quite nice, and now it's covered in cat hair. So that's what I'll be using today. You can also use a fusible batting or even like a fusible interface. The batting will make a slightly stiffer bag. The interfacing, depending upon the weight you buy, will make it more bendable, more flexible. Since I am using a non-fusible product, I will have to machine quilt my fabric batting sandwich together. To do that, I have a walking foot that I will put on my sewing machine. It's a walking foot. If you go with the non-fusible, you'll have to quilt. Your walking foot may be built into your sewing machine. It may not be, depending upon the age of your machine. Mine is old enough that I have an additional foot. What else? If you're doing the fusible product, you don't have to machine quilt your sandwich, but I like to do the quilting because it adds another texture and it's kind of fun. And it fancies it up and it makes it uniquely yours. So there is that. You will also need, okay, so that is fabric and fusible. While I'm on the subject of fabric, you don't have to go for yardage. If you have like your leftover charm squares, those are the 5-inch squares. Yeah, those are the 5-inch squares, or maybe they're 4.5 squares. Charm squares, you know, the little squares. You can use those to put together a bag, which I have done.
If you decide to go the charm square route, you will need 15 to 18 charm squares. You'll want 15 if you are doing a complementary band at the top like I'm doing, or if you are not doing the complementary bag and are doing all charm squares, that's when you will need the 3 extra for 18. So 15 and contrast fabric like I've done, or 18 squares. You also might want to think about which way you want your charm squares to face. As you can see kind of down here in the corner, it looks like my trees are going upside down. But when I fold it over at that, it'll be at that hem there where the two white blocks are together. When it gets folded over and sewn up, then the trees will be right side up. So you might want to think about that if you decide to go the charm square route.
If you have leftover jelly roll strips, you can use those to put together a bag, which I have done. If you have leftover layer cake squares, you can use those to put together a bag, which I have also done because, you know, like I said, my best friend taught me the basics of it and I just went crazy nuts.
If you decide to use leftover layer cake squares, I liked this layout because none of the seams were right next to each other, which is a lot easier for me since I have a hard time lining up all the seams. It will take, at a minimum, you'll want 5 layer cakes left over. I ended up using 6. You can see up there the purple pumpkins is my 5th layer cake. Then down here in the corner, the orange dots is my 6th layer cake. That one got cut into 4ths because I didn't want purple pumpkins lining up with my purple cats, or on the other hand, it could have been orange dots lining up with my orange cats. You can decide if you want to put the zipper in between the 5-inch band at top and the main 10-inch band here, or I decided I wanted the zipper up higher, so I cut the top band in half, and when I get time, that's where the zipper will go. And the chair is rotating because Zoe was rubbing up against the chair. So this is your option if you decide to go the layer cake route. I also did the slice up here because I didn't have any additional yardage for the layer cake, so I tried to use everything that I had.
Because it's fun. So, you've got your fabrics. You'll also need a zipper. If you're doing just the basic bag like we're going to do today, a 14-inch zipper will do you just fine. When I went, they didn't have 14-inch zippers in the size that I wanted. They had 16-inch, or color that I wanted. So they had 16-inch, so I got a 16-inch zipper. That'll be fine. A little overkill, nothing wrong with that. So there is that. And last of all, sorry, Princess Zoe is meowing at me. She wants some attention here. She doesn't like it when the camera gets the attention. Okay, zippers. You'll want to buy some thread, either complements or contrasts your bag. So we will be using this lovely buttery yellow color here. With the zipper, you'll want to have the zipper foot for your machine. Mine looks like this. Yours will probably look a little bit different. If you want to go fancy, which we're not going to do today, but I have some other things, you can buy about a half a yard of trim. So this is lace that I plan on putting on a different bag. This won't go on the bag we have today. You can buy the giant rickrack. That can go on a bag. I'm not going to do that today. I have these hilarious little pom-poms on binding. And so these are going to go on a Halloween bag, and I think that will be just stupid cute. But anyway, in addition to that, you'll need scissors just to trim your fabric, just to trim your thread, some scissors. You'll need pins. Here's my pins. I also have some of these little clippy-doos that help me keep things together. These little clippy-doos. help me keep things together. You'll need, I use a rotary cutter. You don't have to have a rotary cutter, but I use a rotary cutter, a mat, and a ruler to get the size that I need. And I think that's everything. I'll list all sorts of good stuff down in the description below so you can refer to it, you know, back and forth as we go through, and hopefully this will make a lot of sense to you and you guys can start making your own project bags and having a grand old time of it. So let's go and cut up my yardage. Alright, this is my little cutting room, also known as the utility room. The noise you can hear is my neighbor's washer and dryer running. Sounds like they're doing their laundry. The first thing I am going to do is take my contrasting fabric and I am going to trim it 15 inches. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Had to count it to make sure I'd got it right. I am going to trim that up to 15 inches long because that's how long I will start with my fabric. Line the edges up on my mat again so that I have the 2 square edges. The first strip that we are going to cut is going to be 2.5 inches. So this is going to be 2.5 inches. And this portion we will sew onto our main fabric. Put that aside. And then the next size that we are going to do is 2.25. Slice that. So there are my 2 contrast pieces ready to go. Alright, I've got my fabric cooperating again. What I'm going to do, because I haven't got a ruler that's quite long enough to measure the entire thing, is to fold the fabric in half, line it up so that it is square, and then just take a wee tiny bit off of the end here so that I will end up with 2 pieces of my main fabric. Okay, now I want to cut these down to panels that are 14 inches. I know I measured my contrast pieces down to 15 inches. I was wrong. It needs to be 14 inches. So I'm going to go back and take an extra inch off of my contrasting fabrics and do them 14 inches. I don't know why I did 15 inches. Like I say, oftentimes I just wing it, and close enough is pretty darn good, and that's just the way we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Do the ruler. And trim it up. Okay. So this, set aside and save. You'll need it for later. And now, with our yardage, we have 2 panels for the main fabric, and so this can be 2 different project bags. Next, I'm not going to record this, but the process is about the same. I'm going to take this yellow fabric and I'm going to trim it up so that I have 2 panels that are 14 by whatever long this is, and get those all put together and ready to go, and we'll be in the sewing room next. So the next order of business is to line up the top edge of our contrasting fabric. This is the 2.5 inch piece with the top edge of our main fabric, and I'm going to pin it in place and then sew it on my trusty sewing machine. I'm going to use about 1/4 inch for a seam allowance, and I won't bother to record or show you the actual sewing of the contrast piece onto the main fabric, because the sewing machine will wobble the table like nobody else's business, and really I think it would just make you guys sick to watch the try to watch what I'm sewing here. See, I'm lining it up with my 1/4 inch mark right here. Going to sew it, go to town, and show you what I've done after that. Once again, this is the main fabric with the 2.5 inch contrasting fabric. Alright, so I have sewn the contrast to the main fabric, and we're back in the cutting room, and my ironing board is on top of my washer. So we are going to just open this up so that the press the seam up, I guess is how to say it. It's real simple. This is misbehaving. Wouldn't it though? There we go. I forgot to mention it when I started sewing, but you'll want to make sure that when you have pinned it, you have pinned the right sides together. Since I am doing more than one at once, we'll show you. See, here it is with the, there we are. Let's get the iron out of the way. With the right sides together so that when I iron it, you've got print showing out. While I'm in here ironing out the ironing flat the trim piece from the main fabric, I'm also going to check the length of my lining fabric to what I've got. And as you'll see, we're a little bit short. Well, no, you can't see because the camera's not in the right place. There we are. The lining is a little bit short. This is not surprising because we added extra fabric to this this piece. Now, when you trimmed this to be the same width as your main fabric, you should have had a little bit of fabric left over. So what I do is I'm going to trim this to the same width, fold it over, sew it down, and that will make this the same length and it'll work perfectly. So, alright, now that we basically have our main fabric, our contrasting fabric on both of these, plus the lining, that one's that, all squared away, it's time to cut the batting. Basically, what I'm going to do is unfold this, lay this on this, and just cut to size. Okay, now that I have the batting cut for our main pieces on both of those, we're going to just move these out of the way. I need to cut batting to match our 2.25 inch contrasting bits. And it dawns on me that I forgot to cut 2 of these contrasting bits. If you're using yardage, you can probably cut these a second 2.25 inch by, the length of your bag out of your lining fabric. Since I am well, more or less, I have enough of this stuff, so I am going to cut my second 2.25 inch out of the contrasting fabric, and I have enough of this to cut 2.25 inch out of this. Both of these will be on the inside of the bag and they won't really be seen, so it doesn't matter a whole lot what they are cut out of, but you do need to have 2 pieces that are 2.25 inch, and then you will also cut a piece of batting or your fusible 2.25 inch. After you cut the fusible, or yeah, it's the fusible. If you're using the fusible product, after you cut this out, you'll go ahead and iron it onto your contrasting piece before we go on. Everything I've seen, everybody irons to the front piece. When I put in the zipper, you'll see that I attached the batting with the back piece. I think it's a matter of preference. I'm not using fusible. I don't know what the difference is, so that'll kind of be up to your discretion. Just use what you've got, have fun with it, experiment. You know, it can't go terribly, terribly awry. All right, so I am going to cut another 2.5 inch strip of both of these, and then I am going to cut my battings. As you can see, I've put the zipper foot on my sewing machine and moved the needle all the way to the left so that it'll sink through this little opening in the foot. I have also unwrapped all my zippers, and when they come in the package, they're usually creased down here at the end. So I have taken a minute to go and iron all of my zippers. So next thing we are going to do is to pin the zipper to the contrasting fabric of the main bag. So here's my zipper. That's a lie. Here's my main fabric. I'm going to put that down on the desk like so, and we simply flip the zipper over so that the zipper is right side together with the fabric, and then I will quickly just pin this down here. I don't know how to speed up footage, so I'll just put the first pin in here at the top, push stop, and then finish pinning along the line. As you can see, I've just lightly pinned that. Now, underneath, I have my backing fabric, and my lining fabric, and the batting pulled underneath that. So I am going to take this piece, the zipper and the main fabric, I'm going to turn it around, lay everything on top of the, this other piece of fabric, my batting sandwich. I'm going to line up the edges over here and on the other side of the zipper, and then I'm going to make sure that they are lined up here as well. So we're going left to right is lined up, and just along the top make sure that's lined up. Then I'm going to pin this within 1 inch of its life because these zippers get squirrely, and then I am going to stitch my sandwich to my zipper. Okay, as you can see, I've got my sandwich all pinned together about 1 inch within its life because the things get squirrely. I've got my zipper foot ready to go, and I'm going to run the zipper right along the edge of the zipper so we get a close stitch as close as we can. Since I tend to sew with more enthusiasm than accuracy, this might be a little bit of a mess. Here we go. I've pulled the pins, and there's my stitching for the zipper. We're now going to go iron everything out so that the zipper is now on one side and not in the middle of our zipper sandwich. Here we have it ironed, so the zipper is now free. We are going to repeat the process with our contrasting fabric, batting, and other little bit of lining. So, lay your zipper up, lay your fabric so the zipper's up. Take your contrast line fabric, put it down on top of the zipper. Make sure that the edges of your contrast fabric are lined up with the edges of everything you've just done. If you don't, you will be sad. And stick a few pins in that to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. Flip it over and line it up. So we are going to do the right side of this to the zipper, pin it, and sew it. Just like the first side, I have pinned the contrast fabric to the right side of the zipper, and the lining fabric and the batting wrong side of zipper to the right side of the lining and batting. And now I will stitch this down within 1 inch of its life. So I'm going to give this just a spritz of water, and we are going to iron the contrast fabric up. See how I did. Looks like I did a much better job on the top part of the zipper than I did the lower part of the zipper. That's fine. That's usually how it goes with me. Give this a little spritz of water. Iron this up. Alright, so this is sort of our bag so far. I haven't sewn it together yet. There's a couple things that I need to do next. Since I'm not using a fusible fabric batting, I am going to machine quilt the main body of the bag. I think I'm going to do a simple diamond pattern. I'm probably going to do it 2 inches apart. You can do about 3 inches with a batting so the stuff doesn't shift very much in between. And you can wash it at your leisure. I am going to have to do some trimming up here. I think I accidentally cut these on the bias, and as you can see, it's stretched quite a bit here, and it's stretched in here, but returned to its normal shape. So I'll have to take that into account when it's time to sew the bag together. If you are doing trim, and you want to sew trim on, now is the perfect time to either sew it across the top here. If you have a sewing machine that does all the fancy stitches, go look at Stitching Petunia. She made a bunch of project bags following, oh my word, my brain has just frozen. Vanna's. Following Vanna's envelope method, she took her alphabet on the machine and put some phrases, words, hints as to what was in the bag on her bags. So if you've got an alphabet program machine, you can, maybe put it in the center here. So I'm going to machine quilt this. I don't have any trim that I'm going to be putting on, so I won't be doing trim, but I've got a lot to machine quilt. I've got 3 more zippers to put in. I'm going to do that, but for you guys, it will be moments before you see me again. Hi guys. So all of that previous tutorial was filmed way back in October, I think, a long time ago, because I had the Halloween stuff out, and look, I've let my hair go a little bit, so it's a bit longer, and I've put on about 10 more pounds, so we're great. It's now January, and I finally got around to finishing up that bag that I was demoing for you, but I didn't actually remember to film any of it. So let's have a look here. You can see that I did go in and quilt it, so you can see my little quilting bits. So that is, perfectly fine, and that's an option if you're not using the fusible. So after I quilted it, I had to go and do the seams. So I'll turn this guy back to being wrong side out. Stuff. I should have prepared for this a little bit more, but whatever. Okay, so when you are ready to sew up your bag, you'll put it together so that right sides are facing each other, okay? You saw in the video I was using a zipper that was definitely longer than my bag. Not a problem on the side that the zipper start is, a little bit of a problem on the side where the zipper starts from. Now I've gotten myself in trouble because I zipped it too far close. Anyway, let me fight with this for a minute. Talk amongst yourselves. Anyway, so when I do the pinning, I'll pin the side that the zipper pull is on first, right next to the zipper. And then since this other side is still unpinned, I'll reach in there and pull the zipper so it's mostly open. And then go ahead, and since you're pinned together, you'll go ahead and pin all the way across the top, all the way back down. And I give myself a little bit of extra room. So I will sew with like 5/8 of an inch, which is over half an inch, or 3/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, so that's over like 1/4 of an inch. But I give it a little bit more width than the standard 1/4 inch seam, just because I want to make sure that I catch both sides of my fabric, both the lining and the front. Sometimes when I haven't done a perfect job of it, I'll go and turn it right side out and I'll find, oh dear, you know, I haven't caught a part of the thing in here, which is no big deal. I just, you know, I'll go in and I'll trim this up and then I'll do another seam and it's fine. It's close enough. On this one, this is the bag that I was demoing, and in the footage I just watched it, you saw that I had cut it on the stretchy way. Not the bias, but one end of fabric is more stiff than the other way. So the stretchy way had stretched when I was doing it. So I did have to trim that up, which is why this bag is about 13 inches and it was cut to 14. So after I trimmed that up and then had to take in the seam allowance and stuff, it made a smaller bag, which is perfectly fine. It's fine. So you'll go ahead and stitch around those 3 edges, and then you can see that I zigzag the edges to kind of cast over the edges so they aren't going to fray or fray, exactly. And then I trimmed the corner. You can see right there I trimmed the corner so that when I turn it inside out, it's much better. So that's what you want to do if you're just making a plain old simple envelope bag, which is, you know, what I primarily do. This bag, I was experimenting with making a flat bottom bag. So it's kind of a flat bottom bag, not, you know, nothing too special. It is what it is, right? So to do that, you'll see right down here, I don't know, look up a tutorial on how to do a flat bottom bag, guys, and don't rely on me, because like the first time I tried it, I messed it up. The second time I tried it, it was okay. This is the 3rd time I've tried and I finally got it right. But the idea is when this bag was square, you can kind of see my blue mark, you know, right here. And I just measured in. I decided, well, I don't know, I want my bag to maybe have a 2-inch, give or take, flat bottom. So I measured in from the seam. From the seam, I measured in 1 inch and put a big line there. And then from the bottom, I measured in 1 inch and put a line there. So I had, you know, a square at the bottom. Same thing on both sides. And then you kind of fatten it out. You know, you pull it like this, make it sit until your line that you've drawn lines up. You can see I drew one on both sides. Well, maybe you can't. It's there, you guys. I promise you there is a blue line right there where I've stitched. So when that line is there, and then your starting and stop points are your other blue lines. I swear to you, I did blue lines. Maybe this is that old non-photo blue and it's just not showing up. No, there it is. You can see it right there. Anyway, so when the 2 quarters meet, that's how you kind of know that you've got the same angle on your thing. So stitch across that, trim the corner off, zigzag it down. Seriously, guys, go watch other tutorials on how to do a flat bottom bag. You'll mess it up. Seriously, you'll mess it up. So once your thing is all done, you've zigzagged the edges. Now it's time to turn the bag inside out. See how you've done. And we did all right with this one. It's really cute. Like I said, since I had messed up on the initial part when I was sewing it together, I had to make it a smaller bag so it doesn't hold a terribly, maybe it'll hold an 8x8 Q-snap. It certainly doesn't hold like an 8x11 pattern, so you're going to have to fold your pattern up if you're doing that. But it should hold, you know, a decent sized project. So there you go. Zip that closed. You know, I've discovered for my little tab, I just take a scrap bit of fabric, I fold it in half, iron it, then open it up, fold the 2 ends in, fold it over again so it's 4 layers thick, iron it nice and flat. I chose to do a decorative stitch that's you know, I just went up, sewed it one way, turned it around, sewed it back down the other way, turned it around, up, turning, you know. Anyway, so that's just what I did. And then when I was sewing the bag together, I just tucked this in when I was doing it. I think I might want to go and sew right here, so the little clippy ring doesn't get in the way. So that is the finish for this bag that I was demoing for you. The other bag got made and sent out with the giveaway I did like months ago. Months and months and months ago. So that's this one. Anyway, shall I show you the other one I did that I started to demo with? Because you saw that I was working with two fabrics. So hang on, we'll just turn around, turn our backs to you. Here it is. So this is the other one that I was sort of demoing for you. Turned out just the same, except I didn't do a flat bottom bag. This is just, you know, the envelope version. Same little things. I didn't do any rickrack or any decorative stuff, but I did sew the buttons on like I, well, showed it. If you're only watching the sewing silliness, you didn't see my other floss tube where I did the sewing and the buttons and the stuff. So hopefully that gives you a basic idea of how to do it. I'm not a super sewer. I'm not that great with the tutorials either, but there you go. So I'm going to go add this onto the end of the other tutorial I did and publish it. And Sylvia, I hope this helps you learn at least the basics on how to do a bag.